There you have it, folks. Yet another psychology. You know what I'm saying? Today, I feel like it's an interesting one because personally, I feel like this right here may just be a big contributor to self-centeredness, right? Or maybe the energy of self-absorption. You know what I'm saying? Because we're talking about the psyche of people who live in their own heads, right? And also the psyche of people that talk to themselves. You know what I mean? Living in your own head and talking to your own self. Like, what are we doing? Everything is centered around the self, right? Look, I may be just ignorant about this, right? But I really do see a little bit of that self-awareness that people need. Feel me? To be balanced or to remain balanced or whatever the case. Without any further ado, ladies and gentlemen, let's get to it. Right, man. All right. I don't know. I was kind of sloppy today. Hopefully, it didn't show too much, but we here, right? Yeah. As it stands, psychology of people who talk to themselves, and then, right there we go. Psychology of people self-talk. You know what I'm saying? To me, if you ask me, bro, some shit like this, I'd just go ahead and be like people who pray, basically. I'm serious. People who pray, that's people who talk to themselves. Cause what do you do when you pray actually? Exactly. So we got that lined up. We got also the psychology of people who live in their own heads. Right here. Lined up, ready. Hopefully you can see it, all that. Let's get into it.
Have you ever caught yourself speaking out loud when no one else was there?
Nope.
Not shouting, not raving, not unraveling, just softly.
Oh yeah, all the
Quiet
time.
words in an empty room. A whispered sentence while washing your face. A half-finished thought spoken into the mirror. The kind of moment you don't tell anyone about.
Yep.
Because you're not even sure why you do it. You're simply there, and suddenly, there is another version of you present a voice that speaks. A voice that...
Okay, wait. I'm sorry. Wait. My fault. I need to hit you with the opening statements. Check me out. So, you present, an idea such as this to me, right? Somebody that talks to themselves, right? You present an idea like this to me. I'd go ahead actually and argue that content creators are these kind of people. Yes, we talk to ourselves, bro. If you're watching this and you're a content creator, we talk to ourselves. Face it. Yes, it's the reality of the fact that there are more people, or there are currently more people other than yourself that are, that are interacting. You know what I'm saying? That you are interacting with, right? But like potentially, like realistically, like we know this. But essentially, bro, come on, bro. Right? The difference is just it's the camera. That's all, That's all the security you have in the fact that you're not crazy, right? That you're not insane. Right? So I don't know. You tell me. But I feel like content creators, man, we talk to ourselves whether the room is empty or not, but it's like, because think about it, even if the room has other people in it, right? It's like you're talking in a room where people are not even responding to you. You're essentially talking to yourself. Come on, what are we doing? What are we saying? Hey, I for one I can admit it, man. Fuck it. You know what I'm saying? I'm literally in these four walls right now, yapping to myself. Yeah. Okay.
That listens, a conversation that lives just beneath the skin.
Yep. What do you mean? I'm listening, brother. Where are you?
You might laugh it off when it happens.
Oh shit.
Or you may grow still for a moment, suddenly aware of yourself, because you know how society treats this.
Yep.
The world is quick to call you strange for it, quick to label it as loneliness or instability or evidence that something inside you has gone wrong. So you tuck the moment away.
Oh, and by the way, I don't know if this came off to you guys as follows, but yeah, to me this is not a problem, right? People that talk to themselves, you know what I'm saying? Conversation is conversation, essentially, right? It's gonna do what it's gonna do. Ideas are gonna be shared regardless, okay? Okay, wait, ideas are gonna be shared. Ideas generally are shared. At least that's my expectation of whatever conversation that I get. That's why I hate small talk. I hate that shit. Because it's nothing to it. So if it's nothing to it, it's like it means nothing to me. I cannot grow from it. But generally, my expectation out of a conversation is, you know what I'm saying? Like some some valuable insight has to be at least shared. You understand what I'm saying? So whether that conversation happens by yourself, you know what I'm saying? Monologue, is that what it's called? Monologue? Or, you know what I'm saying, you talking to somebody, it's like the content of the conversation. Where are we going with it, right? We might be talking to ourselves, like painting these pictures in our minds, building things, building vehicles that enable us to like grow somehow, I don't know. Or we freaking just like it's Armageddon in the brain. Freaking the purge. Like nothing but evil and demonry and you feel me? So whether you're talking to yourself or to somebody else, it's in the contents of the conversation. It's in the contents of the dialogue or the monologue, right? I think I got that right. So you're not crazy talking to yourself. It's actually it actually does kind of make sense. It makes a lot more sense than not. Seriously.
Like a secret, like something shameful, like something that shouldn't have happened.
Yep.
But you know the truth. It didn't happen by accident.
Oh yeah.
There is a reason the words slip out when your guard is down, when you're overwhelmed, when your heart is heavy, and you feel like no one really sees you. The voice you speak to is not imaginary. It is not delusion. It is the part of you that has lived every moment of your life, but rarely gets to speak.
Whoa.
The child who learned to stay quiet, the teenager who swallowed their feelings because they were too much, the adult who learned how to perform strength, efficiency, composure, even while storms raged silently underneath. Talking to yourself is not madness. It is the mind.
Thank you, brother. Thank you, Mythic Psyche. Right? By the way, that's the name of the channel. I don't know why my freaking mousepad keeps freaking bugging out, bruh. Mythic Psyche, by the way. Just by the way.
Attempting to reunite with itself.
What you mean?
It is your internal world trying to find alignment because somewhere along the way, your inner voice was pushed underground.
That's nice.
And now it comes back in fragments, in whispers, in moments when no one else is around to interrupt.
Yeah.
Think about those times when you argue with someone in your head long after the conversation ended, when you rehearse what you'll say before walking into a room, when you moment of fear.
Oh my god, hold on. Guilty as charged, bro. Guilty as charged. Those self conversations, From the past. Ooh, not from the past. From the past, buddy. Literally, bro. Replaying conversation. Oh my god. Don't go there, Mythic Psyche.
Or doubt when you repeat the same phrase over and over until your breath steadies. These are not accidents. These are survival strategies.
For real?
Your self-talk has been your witness, your confidant, your guardian, especially in moments when the world felt too sharp to touch directly.
Yeah.
And if you listen closely, you'll notice something. The
What's
voice
that?
you speak to isn't a stranger. It is you, the you that remains when the performance ends.
Oh my god, King Sin, bro. What the fuck, bro? No, for real. Like I had like a very intense conversation with a colleague of mine today, literally. A couple hours ago. Now we were talking about this like voice in the head. Well, you know, the voice that happens internally that gives you instructions, blah blah. Bro, I was like, yo, that's you though. That's you though. That's your voice. Cause like I asked the nigga like, what voice? No, I think. No, wait. What did I say? I think I was like, that's your voice, and then he was like, no, that's the soul. I'm like, yo, what's the soul then? And then, you know, yeah, we got into this other kind of ignorant kind of rabbit hole, but you know, I feel like Mythic Psyche agrees with me, like literally. Like I was on the side of whatever it is that Mythic Psyche is saying. Mic check 1 2. Are we still on, bro? Damn, I didn't even check my sound. 1 2. I feel like I'm doubled, bro. Hold on, y'all. Let me just check my phone. Let me just check the stream through my phone. Niggas, no chat ain't here. Niggas, nothing but cobwebs and shit. Oh my god, my camera just bugged out. My fault. Yo, my camera just bugged out. Yo, but like real quick, just leave it in the comments how y'all feeling. You know what I'm saying? Where y'all from and things like this. You feel me? While I get to this live stream real quick, I just want to hear my voice, bro. I just want to like, you know what I'm saying? I just want to hear if we live on like some straight tip or. Just leave in the comments how y'all feeling. Okay. Okay. Oh, y'all good? Nice. Alright, let's proceed, bro. I feel like we've been good. But yeah, I even forgot what the fuck I was talking about, but let's jump in.
The you that has been waiting to be acknowledged. To understand why this inner dialogue feels so natural and yet so private, we must go back to where your inner voice first learned to speak.
Where?
Have you ever watched a child playing alone? Not just playing, but narrating,
No.
voicing every movement, every feeling, every small imagined world. A toy placed on the table becomes a character with a purpose.
For real?
A whispered conversation unfolds between figures only the child can see. There is a gentle rhythm to it, an instinctive dialogue with the self. You once did this too, before you learned silence, before you learned to hide. A child speaks out loud because the mind is still learning how to hold itself together.
Yeah.
Psychological development tells us that children externalize thought before they can internalize emotion.
Oh.
Their voice is a bridge, a way to translate feelings into something they can understand.
Nice.
When the world feels too big, too loud, too uncertain, the spoken word becomes a tiny anchor in the storm. It's okay. We're fine. This goes here. The voice outside is training the voice inside. But not every child receives the comfort of a voice from someone else.
Yeah, for real.
Some grow up with parents who are physically present but emotionally distant faces that look at them but never truly see them.
Damn.
Some grow up in homes where love is unpredictable, where affection depends on performance, where the child learns early that feelings need to be hidden to avoid upsetting the fragile world around them. And some children are forced to mature too quickly, learning to understand, soothe, and navigate emotions alone, while their peers are still allowed.
Oh snap! Look, bro, I do not mean to bring an absolute gore to anybody's attention, right? So I don't think I'm gonna link the video. No, I'm not gonna link any video that's gory, right? You know what I'm saying? I wouldn't want to do that to y'all. But yo, I don't know if y'all remember that the UPS incident, right? Where the family like lost, you know what I'm saying? A couple of family members literally lost their lives. You know what I'm saying? There was this kid, bro. Like I just want to like double down on just like one of the kids that like survived the incident, obviously, right? The one kid was literally like escaping the whole entire situation. Like, I mean, if you know, you know. I wouldn't suggest that you go watch it, but it was truly intense, like a traumatic situation, right? And then this one kid was literally on the iPad the whole time, bruh. Just zoned out. Yo, bro, no. Bro, like, damn. You, like, oh my god. Like, you could tell, like, the kid can kind of maybe they probably perceiving what the fuck is going on, but like it's probably so crazy they don't want to face it, so they on the iPad the whole time while family members is losing their lives, bro. Damn, I'm talking about like a kid that looks, I think 2-3 years old, maybe a year and a half. Bro, like I was like, this kid is no way this kid's emotions are like, bro, like this kid was probably going through it in his head, bro. And the other one, the older kid, right? There was like two of the of like the toddlers. You know what I'm saying? The older kid was like just going crazy, like going crazy. You know what I'm saying? Like hysterical, bro. I'm talking about like screaming and stuff. You know what I mean? While the whole thing is going down. You know, the parents losing their lives in front of them. Feel me? To a point where like the one that was on the iPad he was so numb to the situation. He wanted to go into the room to the mother. Obviously the mother was gone. And then like the one that was going hysterical was just like pulling the little one by the collar and shit. Like, oh my, it was the worst thing I've seen in my life. That's a fact. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like it's kids like that, obviously, that they're referring to, that it starts at that kind of level where it's like, yo, to even kind of self-soothe, to even like kind of like numb out the fact that, you know, the external environment is actually kind of, you know, not paying attention to me. You know what I'm saying? And I could imagine like to that kid, yes, it's scary, but I feel like, you know, to the kid, right? You gotta understand, the kid doesn't understand the world the way that you understand it, right? So the whole, oh, sorry, you know, being sorrowful, like, yo, this is so sad on the kid's behalf. Like, the kid might be like, okay, whatever. Like, they ain't paying attention to me. Like, I'll just be to myself. You know what I'm saying? That's why it kind of just happens. Okay, that might have been an ignorant statement. It might have been an ignorant statement. You know, they might be getting sad, but you gotta think about it though. The kid doesn't understand the world that, you know, the way that you do. You may see the kid, you know, just shutting themselves off from the world, you know, and be like, oh man, they going through something, da da da. But that's because you understand the world the way that you understand it, and obviously that's gonna, you know, get passed down to that kid the older they grow. But the, you know, for as long as they're still kids and toddlers, it's just an experience. It's just an experience, and it's like, I don't know, the kid's mind can only adapt to the situation the only way it can. Oh shit, I'm gonna talk to myself then. Fuck it. Alright. Sorry about the yapping, bro. Sorry about the. Sorry. Don't leave. I promise I'm not going to
simply feel.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
So the child begins speaking to themselves not just playfully, but as a quiet form of survival. The voice becomes protector, companion, and witness. When no one asked how their day was, the voice did. When disappointment cracked something small in the chest, the voice stitched it back together. When fear crept in at night, the voice whispered reassurance into the darkness. Slowly, the self became both caregiver and child. This is how the inner voice is born, not as something strange, but as something deeply human. It is the result of a mind that refused to collapse, a heart that refused to stay silent, a soul that would not let itself disappear. And over time, the child grows older. The toys fade, the imaginary worlds dissolve, and yet the voice remains. No longer spoken in innocence, but now layered with memory, longing, and all the words never said out loud to anyone else. Childhood ends, but the need for comfort does not. And so the voice evolves, becoming quieter, more private, more shadowed, to a secret conversation carried into adulthood, waiting for the moment it will finally be heard again. There comes a moment in life when you realize you've become very good at appearing composed. You know how to speak in the right tone, nod at the right time.
Oh, I'm very much familiar with that. But then now, you know what's dangerous about that one? Where like you can master the art of composure. You know what I'm saying? Is the fact that even when you do go through some shit, like nobody's gonna even like, you know what I'm saying? Nobody could even get a hint of what's going on. You know what I'm saying? Nobody could even get an indication that you need anybody. You know what I'm saying? For all, to all my composed kings out there, bro, like, yeah, practice that with, with a little bit of like caution, bro. I don't know. I don't know what to tell you.
Hold your expression steady, even when something inside you twists. You know how to appear fine. But the voice inside you, the one that once spoke freely as a child, didn't disappear. It simply learned to hide behind the mask you wear for the world.
Damn.
You notice it most in quiet moments, standing in the bathroom, staring into the mirror longer than necessary. Or in the kitchen late at night, when the day has already exhausted you, and the silence feels heavier than the darkness.
Oh shit.
You speak softly, privately rehearsing what you wish you had said earlier, or what you plan to say tomorrow. You try to find the courage that didn't exist at the moment you needed it. The voice comes out not because you are weak or strange, but because something inside you is trying to keep you from collapsing under the weight of your own expectations. Psychologists sometimes call this the internal dialogue, but there's more to it than that. It's not just one voice.
What is it?
It is many. There is the narrator, the voice that describes what you are doing, as though giving shape to your own existence. There is the shadow voice, the one that holds your unspoken disappointments, anger, and unresolved grief. And then there is the inner parent, the voice that tries to soothe you when life feels too heavy, or scolds you when you...
Yo, I don't know if this is the right question to ask, but all of those aspects of the voices, all of those happen in your voice though, right? Wait, has anybody ever thought of like how the voice sounds in their head? No, seriously, it's your voice though, right? Nah, just a side question, just a sidebar, my bad.
You believe you should have done better. These voices are not separate personalities.
What are
they? Are fragments of you, the pieces you had to, separate just to survive. And so you talk to yourself when decisions feel overwhelming. You whisper, "It's okay," when no one is around to say it for you. You ask yourself questions out loud because answers feel more real when spoken. You argue with yourself because sometimes you are the only person who understands the complexity of what you feel.
Yeah.
The world sees an adult performing normal life, but inside you are still negotiating with the child who once learned to hold everything alone. There is loneliness.
Sorry.
Yes, but there is also resilience. The voice inside you is proof that you never abandoned yourself, even when others did. The mask you wear may be polished, calm, well-adjusted, but the voice behind it is raw and real, trying to pull the pieces of who you are back into alignment.
Yep.
To understand why this inner dialogue persists, why it feels necessary, instinctive, and deeply emotional, we must step into the realm of psychology and of the mind.
That's what
Have
we
you
hear.
ever wondered why thoughts feel heavier when they stay silent? Why a problem, when kept inside your head, seems tangled and dense, but the moment you speak it aloud, even to no one, something begins to loosen?
Does misery loves company?
This is not accidental.
What is
the
it?
mind is not only a place of thought, it is a place of echo, reflection, and sound. Your voice is a tool, and speaking to yourself is one of the oldest ways the human brain organizes reality. Psychologists call it self-directed speech, a concept rooted in the work of Lev Vygotsky. He observed that children first speak aloud to guide themselves through the world, to remind, to soothe, to understand.
Yep.
Over time, society teach child to silence this voice, to internalize it. But the mechanism remains. The voice never disappears. It simply retreats inward.
Yo, and here's another question. Would this be what is considered intuition? Is this the intuition? Comment section, please.
Where it becomes the foundation of how you think about your own thinking, what neuroscience calls metacognition.
Alright.
Talking to yourself is the mind attempting to bridge the gap between emotion and interpretation.
Right.
When you speak aloud, your left brain, the analytical, structured side, and your right brain, the emotional, intuitive side, begin to communicate more clearly.
Nice.
The voice is not a sign of instability.
What is it?
It is the nervous system reaching for balance, like two hands meeting in the dark. Studies show that self-talk improves emotional regulation. Saying something out loud slows the nervous system, lowers cortisol, and helps the prefrontal cortex regain control from the amygdala, the part of your brain that reacts out of fear or instinct. This is why, in moments of crisis, you whisper, "It's okay," even if you don't fully believe it. The body responds to the sound of your own reassurance. It also strengthens memory. When you speak something out loud, you anchor it more deeply in your mind. Your voice becomes a marker, a place of return, like carving a small symbol into the wood of your life so you can find your way back when everything feels overwhelming. But underneath all of this is something more intimate.
What's that?
Something more fragile. The voice you speak to is also the voice you have hidden, the parts of you that were silenced by expectation, disappointment, or fear. The inner dialogue reveals the fractures, the pieces of you that learned how to survive without being seen. So, when you speak to yourself, you are not just thinking, you are remembering, reassembling, negotiating with the pieces of your own existence.
Nice.
And when the inner world is divided,
You know how I was talking about the fact that, yo, for as long as you're a content creator and you know what I'm saying, you have the camera in front of your face, you know what I mean? Kind of like what I'm doing, like desktop type shit. Feel me? Like you're essentially talking to yourself, right? But yo, I'm now thinking about it in the context of like what he just, like how he just put it right now. You know what I mean? Like as in you're referring back to the self, you know. Yeah, whatever he said. Like this, the aspect of you that like planted the kind of seeds that like would, you know what I'm saying, would be important at this point in your journey. Cooking. You feel what I'm saying? It's like you're literally whatever initial seeds that you kind of, you know what I mean, planted along the way until the point that you're at right now. It's sort of like reference points, you know what I'm saying? Kind of like a reference point that you can refer back to. You know what I'm saying? The traumatic moments that happened, for example, the happy moments that happened, for example. You feel what I'm saying? That voice will always be able to articulate images of the past that either, you know what I'm saying? That's why that voice can either be the death or the life of you. Facts. That voice can either be the death or the life of you, bro. That's why I was like, yo, it's all in the content of the conversation, right? Of the internal conversation. It's the same thing as an external conversation. You know what I mean? Hey, just saying, bro.
When something inside you is unresolved, unspoken, or aching, the voice you speak aloud begins to reveal what you are most afraid to feel. Have you ever noticed how the voice you speak to when no one is around knows things you never say out loud? It knows the disappointments you dismissed, the apologies you never received, the grief you never allowed yourself to feel fully.
Man, at this point, isn't it that thing that people call the awareness? You know what I'm saying? Consciousness or whatever. Because now we're talking about like being aware of even past moments, like being aware of moments that you know, people who care about you the most or whatever, like, wouldn't be aware of. You feel what I'm saying? The slight moments when you got played. Feel me? Those subtle moments where just like somebody did you dirty, but like had to cover it up so that it doesn't look shy. What is it?
It is a witness, one that has seen every version of you that the world never did.
So my point is, like, it's more than just a voice then at that point. It's more than just a voice. It's a whole witness. Right?
There are nights when you find yourself speaking into the quiet, as if someone were sitting beside you. Not loudly, just a soft, tired confession.
Yep.
Words like, "I'm trying," or "I don't know what else to do," or even the silence between sentences, the kind that holds more truth than any language could translate. In those moments, you are not talking to the air.
What are you doing?
You are speaking to the part of yourself that has carried every hurt without complaint. Psychologists say unresolved emotions do not disappear. They sink. They settle.
Why?
They wait. Shame becomes a shadow that follows quietly behind you. Loneliness becomes a subtle ache in the ribs. Grief becomes a room in the house of your mind that you never fully enter. And when these feelings have no place to go, when there is no one safe enough to hear them,
what happens?
They look for the only presence that has always remained, you. So the voice becomes a confessor, a listener, a kind of invisible companion you return to because no one else has ever stayed as consistently. Sometimes it soothes you.
Right.
Sometimes it hurts you.
Yes.
Sometimes it reminds you of everything you've tried to forget.
Oh my God.
It becomes a mirror you didn't ask for, one that reflects not who you pretend to be.
Did I not say this voice can be the death of you or the life of you, man? There you go, ladies and gentlemen.
But who you are when the
Thank me
performance
later.
ends. And yes, there is pain in that. Because speaking to yourself can also mean admitting that there are parts of your life where you were alone when you shouldn't have been. Moments when you needed someone to say, "I see you," and no one did. So the voice in your chest took the place of love that never came, comfort that was never offered, presence that never arrived.
What else?
It became your replacement for intimacy. Talking to yourself is not strange, but it is private, because it carries the weight of everything you've held in silence. and the world does not know how to hold the kind of honesty that exists in those moments. Society hears self-talk and thinks of instability. It does not see the endurance, it does not see the courage, it does not see the child who learned to survive alone.
Facts.
But society rarely sees the truth with compassion. And it is here, in the misunderstanding in the space between stigma and reality, that the next layer of your story begins. Are you comfortable when someone is simply with themselves?
Why?
How silence is treated like a problem that needs to be fixed.
I wonder.
How solitude is mistaken for sadness.
Crazy.
We live in a society that fears the quiet mind. A culture that praises loudness, visibility, performance, the constant display of self for others to judge and approve. In such a world, speaking to yourself is seen not as intimacy with your inner life, but as something to be corrected, laughed at, or hidden.
That's crazy.
From a young age, you are taught that thinking should stay inside, and feeling should be managed discreetly. You learn to keep your voice internal, your questions unspoken, your doubts smoothed over with socially acceptable smiles. People
politically correct speech that you know nothing of. You don't even know what the shit means.
Don't fear your words, they fear the honesty behind them. Because talking to yourself is raw, unfiltered.
Let's do it.
It reveals an inner world that cannot be curated for others. And we live in a time where identity itself has become performance.
Nice.
Where value is measured by how well you fit into the expectations of the crowd. Society calls self-talk strange because it reminds people of their own unspoken thoughts, the ones they spend their entire lives trying not to confront. So they label you to distance themselves from the discomfort. They call you lonely, as if companionship should always come from outside.
Why you say fuck me for? No.
They call you unstable, as if sanity is measured by silence.
Why?
They call you weak, as if speaking to yourself is anything but an act of endurance.
Yeah.
And yet, throughout history, some of the greatest minds spoke to themselves. Philosophers walking alone under ancient skies, speaking their questions. Into the night, poets whispering lines under their breath until meaning appeared. Scientists, artists, monks, warriors, people who understood that the deepest transformation happens in conversation with the self. The inward voice has always been sacred. It is only modern culture that has tried to turn it into something embarrassing.
That's crazy.
Because modern culture worships distraction, noise, constant engagement. It tells you that if you are not speaking to others, posting yourself,
you're
proving
weirdo,
yourself, displaying yourself, then you do not exist.
That's crazy.
It tells you to replace introspection with consumption, emotion with entertainment, presence with performance, and in doing so, it disconnects you from the only relationship that lasts your entire life, the relationship with yourself.
Oh my god. Woo! That one was a truth and a half, right?
So you learn to hide the voice, to speak only when no one is around, to pretend you don't need to hear yourself. But there is a cost to living with a voice no one else hears.
What's that?
A slow erosion of the part of you that remembers who you truly are beneath the image, beneath the performance, beneath the world's expectations. And that cost reveals itself in the quietest place of all. The emotional toll you carry alone. Have you ever felt like your own mind has become both your refuge and your prison?
All the time.
Like the only place you can speak honestly is inside yourself.
All the time.
Yet that very place is also where your doubts echo the loudest.
Right.
The inner voice that once protected you can become the battlefield where your past and present collide.
I'm talking about it can become a demon, boy. What are we talking about?
There are moments when the voice is gentle. When it holds you the way no one ever did. When it reminds you to breathe, to soften your shoulders, to try again tomorrow. In these moments, the voice is a sanctuary, a quiet room inside your chest where the world cannot reach you. It becomes the proof that you have never truly loved.
No.
It replays every mistake like a film loop that refuses to fade. It calls your name in a tone you learned from someone who once made you feel small. The inner voice becomes your shadow, the version of you built out of every wound you carried silently. Over time, this shapes you, not just emotionally, but relationally. When you learn to lean on your own voice for comfort, other people can begin to feel unnecessary, or worse, unsafe. You may hesitate to explain yourself because the voice already understands.
Seriously?
You may withdraw from others because the voice is easier to speak to. You may find yourself living behind walls made of your own thoughts, walls even you sometimes struggle to climb out of.
Yep.
Attachment theory tells us that intimacy is learned through being seen and soothed by another. But if you rarely received that, if the world taught you to rely only on yourself,
I'll be fine. Be alright.
then your voice becomes the stand-in for love, a memory of the connection you always wished for, a companion shaped from the absence of others. And in that sense, the voice is both miracle and wound proof of survival, and evidence of what you had to survive.
Don't say that.
This can affect your identity. You begin to question who you are outside the realm of your inner world. Your self-worth can become tangled in the voice's approval or criticism. You may fear vulnerability because letting someone else in means risking the one stability you have always known,
Serious?
the conversation within. And yet, this story does not end in tragedy, because the same voice that once carried your loneliness can also guide you back to yourself. If you learn not just to hear it, but to understand it. If you listen differently with compassion, instead of fear, the voice stops being the battleground and becomes the bridge. A bridge to healing. Have you noticed that the voice inside you changes depending on how you speak to it? The same inner companion that once reassured you can become harsh when spoken to with impatience. And the same voice that once frightened you can soften if approached gently. The goal has never been to silence this voice.
Right.
It has always been to understand it, to turn it from a reaction into a relationship. Healing begins when you stop treating the voice as a problem and start treating it as a message. The next time you hear yourself whisper something in the quiet pause,
What should I do?
listen, not with judgment, not with panic, but with curiosity.
Nice.
Ask yourself, who is speaking right now? The child who once felt alone? The adult who is tired of carrying everything? The heart that wants to be held
What
but has
else?
never been shown how? The voice is not random. It is memory shaped into language. Psychologists refer to this as inner reparenting, learning to give yourself the emotional presence you needed when you were younger.
For real?
When you say, "it's okay" to yourself, you are stepping into the role of the parent you wished you had. When you speak to yourself with patience instead of frustration, you are repairing the bond between your past and present self. You are becoming the one who stays.
The one.
You can begin to guide the voice instead of reacting to it.
Nice.
When fear rises and the voice trembles, speak softly, "I hear you." When doubt sharpens into criticism, respond with steadiness, "I am trying."
Nice.
When loneliness echoes through your thoughts, remind yourself, "I am here with you."
There we go.
This is not delusion. This is self-compassion, the emotional oxygen mask every human needs, but few are taught how to use. Journaling can help give the voice shape. Writing allows the intangible to become visible. When you place your thoughts on a page, the chaos becomes a landscape you can navigate. You no longer drown in the feeling, you can walk through it, map it, understand where it comes from.
You know, as a result, right, I feel like that's why the question arose that, yo, do y'all think they're talking about intuition when they be talking about this voice? Because, I literally, as a result of me actually, for lack of a better term, honoring this voice, man, following this voice, listening to it, taking it seriously, right? As a result of that, bro, I feel like intuitively, man, whatever that means, like I've become stronger, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like I can. Fuck. It's just that I'm not the kind of guy to just appear as, fake deep or deep spiritual, whatever. But like I feel like that, inner tapped inness with myself, right? That integration with myself, even with things like the dark sides of me, right? Or the ignorant sides of me. You know what I'm saying? I feel like I could display all of those, right, where necessary, um, um, as the moment requires. You know what I'm saying? Because I feel like moments will require you to at least be a master of either of any of your aspects. If you know what I'm talking about. Like, you know what I mean? Yeah, a lot of people are the masters of their decent side, right? Their pleasant side, their pleasing side. But it's rare where you get a person that understands that they have to use their manipulative side sometimes. They have to use their conniving side. And I'm not saying, yo, I'm not instigating anything or like validating any, you know, fucked up ideas in anybody's head, but it's like there's a reason why these kind of aspects to you exist. I'll go ahead and ignorantly just put that there, right? And so as a result, like and I feel like that's part of the journey to understanding yourself. You know what I'm saying? Considering all aspects to you, right? Subconscious aspects, that is, and conscious aspects, that is, right? Right? Talking to human beings out here. No. But it's like, yo, it helped me like tap into myself. So, and the one thing that I'd say is that because of that, you know, is why I never seen a shame in people talking to themselves like that. Again, there was this one experience, bro. I think I was a kid. I was like in middle school or whatever, and this one next door neighbor of mine, right? I was like outside my house. I think I was like singing out loud, right? Because I'm also into music and things like that, and just expressing myself to myself. Let me put it that way, right? I feel like that's the whole thing. It's expressing myself to myself. You know what I'm saying? By myself. You feel me? Hello. You feel me? That you could also put it that way. So this next door neighbor of mine, it was like the kid of that home, right? The child, the little daughter. You know, she saw me do this. She saw me like express this, like verbalize this. It was a song to myself, right? And then the thing is, we were close, like my household, right? My mother, because that's who I was living with at that location, right? At the time, my mother was close with these people. She was close with these people. She knew them. She was familiar with them. And so like I would go and hang out with the brother. You know what I'm saying? Following. So the daughter caught me like reciting some song, but then I'm close to the brother, so I would like go to the house, right, to go hang out with the brother. But then as I'm making my way there, though, after that little incident of me being outside my home doing that whole thing, like I overheard her tell her family that, yo, man's just speaking alone, he's talking alone, he's doing hand signs alone. I'm like, yo. She made me look like an ass. She made me look like a butt cheek in front of her family. Like as in like I'm insane, whatever, right? Lo and behold, man, you feel me? Like this kind of thing, for as long as, you know, motherfucker can talk, like, yo, these days we make money off of that shit, right? You cut the camera on, you talk by yourself, man. You know you're talking to some other people on the other side of that camera, right? Or on the other side of that connection. And you make money out of that shit. Who knew? Who knew the crazies would get the W? Anyway, hold on, man. Before I stretch this too long, alright? So, you know, personally, myself, I never like saw that as crazy. Yep.
The page becomes a mirror that does not judge, and slowly something shifts. The voice becomes less of a battleground and more of a dialogue. You stop running from yourself. You stop fearing your own inner world.
Nice.
The voice that once felt like a burden becomes a companion. Not perfect, not always calm, but honest. And honesty is where healing begins, because the voice inside you has never been your enemy. It has always been the part of you that refused to disappear, even when life tried to silence it. And now, as we approach the end of this journey, there is one final truth to understand, the one that brings everything together.
What's that?
Have you ever realized that the voice inside you is older than your memories? It has lived through every silence you endured, every moment you swallowed your feelings to keep the peace, every time you walked away when you wanted to stay, or stayed when you desperately needed to leave. It is the voice that never left you, even when others did. This voice has witnessed the quiet heartbreaks, the ones that left no visible bruise but changed you forever. It remembers the first moment you felt misunderstood, the first time you pretended not to care, the first night you cried quietly so no one would hear, the first time you realized that the world does not always offer gentleness, even to those who give it, and through all of it, it stayed, it spoke, it kept you company in the places no one else could enter. The voice inside you is not a flaw. It is a testament, a living archive, a memory woven into sound. When you speak to yourself today, you are not merely thinking, you are tending to the child you once were.
You're building worlds and you're shifting universes into, you know what I'm saying, something that like literally is super deep, that nobody can like explain this shit like that. You feel me? Hold on, man. I want to, head on and get to the quick word from our sponsors. Let's do it.
Yeah, how the fuck I'm getting locked out? Yeah, when I'm standing in the gap with my cock out.
Scorpio.
Yeah, waking up every morning about shit. Now I'm finna lose my energy till I clock out. Nirvana. I don't need to, but I wanna. Swear to God, after I eat somebody's daughter. But if she crazy, I don't bother. Unless I got her on a cold night. Trade this knowledge for your soul tied down.
Well, there you have it, folks. Yet another psychological breakdown of some ish. You know what I'm saying? Today, I feel like it's an interesting one because personally, I feel like this right here may just be a big contributor to self-centeredness, right? Or maybe the energy of self-absorption. You know what I'm saying? Because we're talking about the psyche of people who live in their own heads, right? And also the psyche of people that talk to themselves. You know what I mean? Living in your own head and talking to your own self. Like, what are we doing? Everything is centered around the self, right? Now, look, I may be just ignorant about this, right? But I really do think this is at least a big contributor to self-centeredness, right? And maybe a little bit of that self-awareness that people need. Feel me? To be balanced or to remain balanced or whatever the case. Without any further ado, ladies and gentlemen, let's get to it.
When I'm standing in the gap with my clock out. Waking up every morning about. Now I'm finna lose my energy till I clock out.
Okay. Alrighty then. Now, on to the psyche of people that live in their own heads. Right. Here we go. Here it is. There she is. Look at her. Looking all deranged and shit. Damn. Why you looking crazy? Why you looking crazy, shorty? The archetype, you know what I'm saying? Alright, let's get to it, man.
You're here, but you're gone.
What do you mean?
You know this moment. You're standing in a room full of people. Maybe it's a networking event after work.
Maybe.
Maybe a family gathering.
Maybe.
Maybe just a crowded coffee shop.
There we
on
go.
a random afternoon. The room is loud. Conversations overlap. Laughter bursts out at the wrong moments. Everyone seems busy being someone, and you're there too. You nod when you're supposed to. You smile at the right cues.
What else?
You say just enough to seem present. But inside, something quietly pulls away. Your body stays in the room. Your mind steps back. It's not dramatic. It doesn't feel like panic. It feels familiar, almost automatic, like slipping into another room inside yourself, where the noise can't reach you, where nothing is being asked of you.
Oh, right. I mean, we just reacted to, you know, the psychology of people that talk to themselves. I feel like, yo, here's one of those pointers, man, where that voice, that self, that self voice, that voice that talks to the self, or the one that the self is aware of, whatever the case. This is these are the aspects of reality that that voice is developed from, man.
Where you don't have to perform, explain, or compete.
Nice.
For a long time, you may have wondered if something was wrong with you.
Yeah.
Why does being around people feel so draining? Why does your mind retreat when everyone else seems to lean in? You've probably been told to get out of your head, to be more present, more social, more like everyone else. But what if this isn't avoidance? What if this quiet retreat is the way you protect the most real part of yourself in a world that rarely slows down long enough to notice it?
Good question.
This is the sanctuary, and it exists for a reason.
Right.
It's a survival.
Yeah, yep on along, King. Yep on along, man. Talk, bruh. No, it's heavy, King. Go ahead. All in the darkness in your room and shit. Staring at the ceiling and shit. Into the dark void and shit. Come on, man. Let it out.
Survival response. If you've lived this way for a long time, you may have learned to judge yourself for it. You might tell yourself that you're weak. Yeah, that you're socially awkward.
Yep.
That you overthink too much.
Right.
You look at people who seem energized by crowds and conversation and wonder why the same world feels so heavy to you. But here's what most people never tell you.
Where is it?
Retreating into your inner world is not a character flaw.
What is it?
It's a nervous system response. When the environment becomes too loud, too fast, too demanding, your system looks for safety. And safety, for you, doesn't come from more stimulation. It comes from less. Fewer inputs, fewer expectations, fewer roles to play. So your mind creates distance, not to disappear, but to regulate. This is what happens when someone is naturally sensitive, observant, or emotionally deep in a culture that rarely pauses. Your system adapts. It learns that stepping inward is the fastest way to calm the noise. Organize.
Yo, but the one thing that I don't like about this, okay, I get the fact that he's probably he's probably explaining an introvert, you know what I'm saying, like the life of an introvert, like, I'm saying, like how it looks, how it feels, I don't know, some shit like that, right? But I've always despised the notion that it's all sorrowful and sad and, you know what I'm saying, depressing. Like, yo, being by yourself can actually be exhilarating. It can be really fun, bro. Like, You know what I'm saying? Like, I believe in the power of being bored. Just allow kids to be bored. Just be by themselves. Because that's when maybe you can say creativity hits you the hardest. Right? You can be creative over just like being bored. Don't focus on the fact that, yo, it's so limiting, it's claustrophobic, and nigga, drink some water. What the fuck? Like, take a breath. Like, take a deep breath, meditate if you feel frustrated. But then look at like why people feel frustrated at their boredom. Right? It's like it's this learned behavior of being afraid of moments of being by yourself. You know what I'm saying? Or having like some negative stigma. No, it's so sorrowful, it's sad. That's a sad ass human being. Like, what? Sad ass human being? That motherfucker creating worlds, bro. This nigga about to, about to change the world, bro. What are people talking about right now? You feel me?
Your thoughts and protect your emotional energy.
And I'm only saying that because, like, okay, look at this previous clip right here, right? Look at that. Why is there like bags under his eyes, like he ain't getting no sleep, like he's struggling? Okay, there is an aspect of just like, the loners and the people who are just like imaginationally rich, so to speak. God damn, I've never heard that term. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? But like, there is an aspect of that where like you can stay up all night because your imagination is just like so freaking gorgeous, nigga. What are we talking about? Right? But like, that shit is fun. Talking more often than not. The whole thing where it's like, yo, it's depressing, it's sad and all of that. Yeah, bro, it's because like that's like a regular human emotion that everybody goes through, or an emotional
is numb, empty, disconnected. Retreat is quiet but aware. You're still thinking, still feeling, still processing. Inside your head, you're not absent. You're working. You're making sense of what you just absorbed. You're translating chaos into meaning. In a world that rewards constant output, this kind of inward movement often gets misunderstood, but it isn't avoidance, it's self-preservation. And it's far more intelligent than you've been taught to believe.
Yep.
To understand why your system feels overwhelmed, you have to look beyond yourself and examine the environment you're living in. Modern American life is loud by design.
Yeah.
From a young age, you're taught that visibility equals value.
Yeah.
In school, participation is rewarded. Speak up. Raise your hand.
Raise your hand.
Be confident. In the workplace, the pressure intensifies. Meetings reward the loudest voice. Leadership is often mistaken for dominance. Silence is interpreted as disengagement.
Remember that whole saying, the emptiest can makes the loudest noise, or some shit like that? I don't know if any of y'all remember that saying. Does that say anything to any of y'all?
Over time, this creates a constant background hum of performance. You're not just encouraged to exist, you're expected to present, to sell your ideas.
To perform.
To market your personality. To build a personal brand, even when you're exhausted. Social media amplifies this noise, turning everyday life into a stage where being seen feels...
Oh my god, social media is just its own demon, isn't it? It is its own demon, bro. It is its own universe, right? And at this point, it's kind of scary that I feel like it's like, I don't think anybody, kind of can envision a world without social media at this point. You know what I'm saying? Well, I come from a world where it didn't exist, right? But like, to actually kind of revert into a reality where like, yo, back to no social media vibes. You know what I'm saying? Like, imagine you, like, what would you be doing right now? It's crazy, bro. And it amplifies the whole, it exacerbates the whole, you know,
almost mandatory. For some people, this environment is energizing. For others, it's neurologically and emotionally taxing. If you're naturally introspective, sensitive to tone, or deeply observant, the American noise machine doesn't feel neutral. It feels invasive. Conversations aren't just conversations, they're stimuli. Expectations aren't just expectations, they're pressure. So when you walk into a room where everyone is performing, your instinct isn't to perform harder, it's to pull back. Your nervous system is responding to overload, not fear. The small talk feels hollow because it moves too fast.
Oh my god. There's nobody in this whole entire world that hates small talk like I do, bro. I hate that shit. Damn, I hate that shit.
The competitive energy feels aggressive because it never rests. The constant need to prove your worth feels dehumanizing because it turns connection into currency.
Nice.
In this culture, retreating inward isn't rebellion.
What is
it's regulation. You're not failing to keep up with the noise.
What are you
You're
doing?
responding intelligently to a world that rarely turns the volume down. In a culture shaped by visibility and achievement, most people learn to split themselves in two. There is the performance self, the version of you that knows how to function in public. It speaks when appropriate. It smiles on cue. It knows which parts of you are acceptable.
Well, that's the performer. That's the performer. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like, in this day and age, bro, you're gonna have to master the perform. I feel like, you know, we live in an age where you have to master the performance to ensure survival, or even just like inclusivity. You know what I'm saying? When it comes to just like certain social groups and things like that, you're gonna have to master the performance, buddy. For real. Whether like you're trying to get like, you know, a mate, feel me, within the dating market, there's certain performances you gotta put on. We know this. You gotta perform. You gotta be all chivalrous. You gotta be all clean and decent and politically correct. You know what I'm saying? You want a job. Just, you know what I'm saying? You want a job. You gotta perform, man. Right? You want what? Name it. You gotta perform. And sometimes the performance has to do with just like, you know, the contribution of your blood, sweat, and tears into making some money, so that, you know what I'm saying, you can be part of the squad. Do you get it, neighbor? So it's like, it's nothing but performance, bro. Like, that's the kind of life that we're looking at right now. That's the kind, let me say, that's the kind of reality we're looking at right now. Facts.
And which parts should stay hidden. This self is efficient.
Bro, even with family you perform, bro. Come on, man. I'm not trying to get deep, but let's leave that one there.
Adaptable, polished. And then there is the real self, the part of you that feels before it speaks.
Yeah.
That notices tone shifts, emotional undercurrents, and unspoken tension. The part that doesn't think in sound bites, but isn't optimized for speed or impression. It's built for meaning. In American culture, the performance self is rewarded. It fits neatly into systems built on productivity, persuasion, and confidence. The louder you appear, the more capable you're assumed to be.
Oh, yes.
The quieter you are, the more invisible you become. But quiet has never meant empty. For people who live in their heads, the gap between these two selves can feel exhausting. Maintaining the performance self.
Performance. There we go. That's the fucking word I'm looking for. Right?
Requires constant monitoring. Am I saying the right thing? Do I look engaged? Am I coming across well?
Yep.
Over time, this self-surveillance drains energy and creates a subtle sense of disconnection.
That's a fact.
Inside, the real self waits. It doesn't want to compete. It wants to understand. It doesn't want to dominate a room. It wants to feel safe in it.
Yeah.
This is why retreat feels relieving. When you step inward, the performance self finally rests. The mask loosens. The internal pressure drops. You're no longer being evaluated by others or by yourself. The tragedy isn't that the real self is quiet. It's that the culture mistakes quiet for absence.
Right.
And performance for authenticity. And in that confusion, something deeply human gets overlooked.
What's that?
There is a quiet contradiction at the heart of American life. This is one of the most individualistic societies in the world.
I heard that.
Independence is celebrated. Self-reliance is praised. From an early age, you're taught to stand on your own,
That's what I'm saying.
to handle your problems privately, to keep moving forward no matter what you're carrying. On the surface, this sounds empowering,
Yep.
but underneath it, something else is happening. When strength is defined as handling everything alone, emotional needs slowly become liabilities. Sadness is something to manage. Confusion is something to hide. Struggle is something to fix quietly, without inconveniencing anyone else. The messages are subtle but persistent. Be strong, deal with it, don't make it a big thing. Over time, many people learn that being emotionally honest costs too much,
Yeah.
so they adapt, and they become highly functional on the outside.
That's what I'm
They
saying.
show up, they work, they smile, they keep going, but internally, they stop reaching out.
They bleeding, boy. They bleeding. They going crazy, crashing out like ghosts, bro. You know what I'm saying?
When something hurts. They turn inward instead. This is how loneliness becomes structural.
Yeah.
Not accidental, not personal, but built into the culture itself. You learn to self-soothe. You analyze your feelings in silence. You replay conversations to understand what went wrong.
Right.
You process disappointment alone at night, in your head, because there was never a clear place to bring it during the day.
Damn.
For people who live in their inner world, this pattern deepens quickly. Your mind becomes the only space where your emotions are allowed to exist without interruption or judgment. You become your own witness, your own interpreter, sometimes your own comfort, but there is a cost. When connection is replaced by self-containment,
What happens?
loneliness doesn't always feel like emptiness. Sometimes it feels like constant thinking, constant processing, a mind that never fully rests.
Yeah.
You're not alone because you failed to connect. You're lonely because you were taught that needing others was something to outgrow. For a long time, living in your inner world may have felt like the safest option.
How'd you know that?
Inside your head, things make sense. You can slow moments down, replay them, analyze what was said, what was meant, what should have happened instead.
But that's so toxic, hey? I feel like that's the whole talk. Like that's the one toxic part about like being in your whole in your own head the whole time. Right? It's like the constant replaying of moments, because that would rope in things like regret. You know what I'm saying? And who wants to live in regret, right?
Thought becomes a place of control, a way to stay ahead of pain. But even survival strategies have a cost.
Yep.
When the mind becomes the primary place where emotions are processed, it can slowly turn against itself. Reflection turns into rumination. Awareness turns into over-analysis. Instead of bringing clarity, your thoughts begin to loop.
For real?
You're not stuck because you're incapable of action. You're stuck because you're too aware of every possible outcome.
Oh shit.
There's another risk that's harder to notice.
What's that?
Depth can become a disguise. At some point, the introspection stops being about understanding and starts becoming...
So you're telling me, people, that's literally how being fake deep is born? That's how it comes about. Break that down, right?
coming
Break
away
that
to
down.
avoid exposure. Staying in your head feels intelligent, thoughtful, even virtuous, but sometimes it's protecting you from the discomfort of being seen. This is the uncomfortable question few people ask. Are you retreating to preserve your depth,
Good
or
question.
to hide it? Because the longer you live primarily in your inner world, the more the outside world can start to feel unreal, distant, unsafe. Emotional numbness can creep in, not because you feel nothing, but because you're feeling too much for too long without release.
Yeah.
The mind was never meant to carry everything alone. Your inner world is rich, yes, but when it becomes the only place where life happens, it can quietly shrink your capacity for connection.
Right.
This doesn't mean your retreat was wrong. It means it was never meant to be permanent. At some point, a quiet dissonance begins to form, medicating their stress, distracted from their own lives. The promise that effort would lead to fulfillment feels thin. This is where the American dream starts to crack. The dream is built on output, productivity, constant improvement. Your value is measured in results, income, titles, milestones. But for people who live deeply, this equation feels incomplete. You begin to sense that something essential is missing.
Really?
You start asking the questions that don't have easy answers. Who am I if I'm not productive? What remains when I stop proving my worth? Does my value still exist when I'm resting?
Nah, but I'm not gonna lie. These are these are tough questions to ask, right? I feel like the only reason why these are tough questions to ask is because you're searching for the answers in the wrong places, type shit, right? These are answers that like only the self can like make sense of, right? Because people can tell you a whole bunch of stuff, you know what I'm saying? But then at the end of the day, it's like how you receive what your external makes sense. Oh my god. So how, like, your external is always going to reflect whatever you're searching for, right? The fact that you're at that moment in time, like in that specific environment, your environment does have the answers. It's just, it's not formulated in the way that you are accepting it to make you understand it. So you know, it's tough for you to understand the answer at the moment. Like that's the best I have for you. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're not catching that answer at that moment. You're not meant to, maybe, whatever, like however you might believe it to be. You know what I'm saying? But it's like it's always there. You know what I'm saying? But what I'm trying to say is only you have the answer, and that only you can make yourself understand what your environment is presenting to you. God damn. You caught that one. If you ain't caught that one, okay, wait, hold on, let me see. Only you can take what your environment is showing you and formulating an answer that makes sense for you. Come on. Right? So your environment can tell you a whole bunch of, especially when it comes to like, what is my worth? Who am I? What are we here to do? What is the point of life? You know? Those kind of questions is like, they can only come from you though. Feel me? So, you know, just a quick little segment of getting fake deep right quick. Right? I just wanted to lose y'all right quick, just to wake y'all up right quick.
These questions don't fit neatly into a culture obsessed with efficiency.
Where do they fit?
So instead of being explored publicly, they get pushed inward. Inside your head, you're allowed to wonder without being rushed. You can explore art, philosophy, memory, and meaning without turning them into commodities. No metrics, no deadlines, no performance review. In this way, retreating inward becomes more than self-protection. It becomes a quiet form of rebellion. Not loud, not dramatic. Just a refusal to reduce your humanity to output. A refusal to measure your life solely by what it produces. When the external dream stops making sense, the internal world becomes the only place where meaning still feels honest. And that shift, while isolating, is also deeply revealing. It's not isolation. It might look from the outside like you prefer to be alone. You cancel plans. You keep conversations short. You retreat early. People may assume you're distant, uninterested, or antisocial.
Yep.
Sometimes, you might even assume that about yourself. But isolation isn't what you're craving. What you're resisting is performance. You're tired of conversations that skim the surface.
Oh, that's it.
Tired of editing your thoughts to make them more palatable.
That's it.
Tired of being on when your body's asking to slow down. What drains you isn't connection. It's connection that requires a mask. What you long for is something much quieter. You want to sit across from someone and not rush to fill the silence. You want to speak honestly without immediately softening or justifying your feelings. You want to say, I'm not okay today, and not be met with solutions, optimism, or discomfort.
Yeah, well, with me, I don't have to say it. You're gonna see that. I'm saying, like, you're gonna see, like, I'm one of them ones, right, where it's like I show it through like my body language and shit like that, right? That's why, like, even with someone else, it's us that I'm dealing with, and I can see that, nah, bro, like, you're out of it today. Like, you're literally not, you're not even in the mood to say hi to nobody. You know what I mean? I'm talking that kind of body language. You don't even have to say, oh no, I'm fine, you know, I'm just, you know, I'm good, I'm just super excited today, you know, that's why I don't want to greet nobody. What? Oh, nigga, like, I saw in how you came in the room, bro. You don't even, you know what, say no more. Right? I don't even need to, like, hear how you are and shit like that. Like, I can see it. Like, I can see it. Like, let me just say, I'm sensitized to that. I'm sensitive to that. So that's why, like, even with me, I am, you know, I'll show it. Fuck it, I'll show it. Feel me? And I feel like, yeah, and you know, another thing is, it does have to do with not being able to use the words properly. I mean, we working on that one though. It's not.
You're not
too much of a
searching for
big
many
thing.
people. You're searching for the right kind of presence.
For real?
The kind where attention feels gentle, not evaluative. Where listening doesn't come with advice. Where being understood matters more than being impressive. In a culture that moves fast and rewards efficiency, this kind of connection can feel rare, almost impractical.
Right.
But it's the kind your system recognizes as safe. This is why you retreat when it's missing, not because you don't want closeness, but because shallow closeness feels more lonely than solitude. And until connection feels real, your inner world becomes the place where you go to remember what being seen should feel like. After spending so much time inside, it's tempting to believe you have only two options.
What's that?
Either you stay in your inner world, where things feel safe and understandable, or you force yourself into a loud, demanding world that feels misaligned with who you are. But there is a third way. The goal was never to abandon your inner world.
What was
It
it?
was to connect it. Your inner world is a sanctuary, a place to rest, reflect, and
To merge the two worlds.
recover. But sanctuaries aren't meant to be sealed off forever.
What you mean?
They're meant to have doors, windows, bridges. Building that bridge doesn't mean becoming more outgoing or pretending to enjoy what drains you. It means choosing connection on your own terms. Not many people, not constant availability, just one or two places where you don't have to translate yourself. Connection for you might look quiet, a slow conversation, a shared walk, sitting with someone without an agenda. It might look like saying less but meaning more. This is how depth learns to move outward without being diluted. You don't need to meet the world at its loudest volume. You can meet it selectively, intentionally, with boundaries that protect your energy instead of isolating it. And when connection is chosen,
What
not
happens?
forced, it stops feeling like exposure. It starts to feel like relief. You're not here to burn the world down or reject it entirely. You're here to build a passage between who you are inside and how you exist outside. That bridge doesn't need to be wide, it just needs to be real.